Hi, blessings everyone. My name is Lacey Dawn Jackson, the Groovy Green Goddess. I'm so happy to be here with you live today. And we are going to be talking about habits. We all have them. They're good, they're bad, they're in between. So we're going to be talking about habits today. We will also be doing readings in the chat room. So if you are just tuning in and you're not sure what I'm talking about as far as our chat room, go over to Facebook and type in 12 Radio, look for the community, and ask to join. And Scott, my producer, who keeps me on a task and timely, will let you in, and you can ask your question there and see if what's in the stars for you, what's in the cards for you. So thanks for joining me today. If you are listening to this on an encore or replay, just know that everything that I am talking about today, even the readings that I do in the chat room, will apply to you if it resonates with you. So remember that whether you're listening to this later on, if it resonates, if it has something to do with what's going on in your life right here, right now, then you know what? Listen and just listen and see what is going on. So I've had an interesting week. So I'm going to share with you my new little friend. I should have actually brought him in here. He's so darn cute, but I'll try to post a picture of him in the chat room. But so a couple weeks ago, when I was up at the tiny house, I walked out of my house one morning, and there was this praying mantis right on my porch, and I stepped over him and I said, "Hey, I could have stepped on you, and that would have just broke my heart and killed you." And I had a little conversation with him, and I went on my merry way, and later on, when I got ready to leave, he was still, right in the same spot, because they don't move very fast. And I bid him a farewell, and I came back to the beach. Well, a couple days after that, I went up to a family function, and for those of you who don't know, I have a tiny house on family property where my parents live and my son who lives in my house. I had a tiny house built about, 4 years ago, and it's only 120 square feet. I lived in it off and on for years while I traveled, and I stay up there when I'm in the Olympia area. So I went up there and I parked my car down by the tiny house in the woods, and I played in the tiny house with my granddaughter, and had our family function, and came home, and it was a couple days after that I got into my car one morning, and I was headed to the spa to do my sauna, and I looked up on the visor, and there, right in front of me, was Monty the Manty is what I've been calling him, and a praying mantis right there in my eyesight. I couldn't miss him, and he's just sitting there, and upside down, of course. And so I started talking to him, and I'm like, what the world are, obviously I'm getting this sign, if a praying mantis has shown up in my life once again in a very short amount of time, that I need to take heed. And So I started talking to him and asking him why he was in my car. And you know, if you've ever looked at a praying mantis up close, they have these little triangle heads with these little big eyes. And he just like turned his little triangle head and was like looking at me like he understood everything that I was saying. And I couldn't do anything with him at that moment. I headed into the spa and I'm like, wow. And I started talking to some of the people that have lived in this area at the ocean for years and years, and saying that I found this praying mantis in my car. And many of the senior citizens and older people and the wise people in this area, I had many of them say, I've never seen a praying mantis in this area. I think this praying mantis must have come from your tiny house. And so, you know, I posted on Facebook on my page. If you want to see a picture of him, go over to my page, Lacey Dawn Jackson, and scroll down a couple entries, and you'll see a picture of him on my, you know, visor in my car. But I really was kind of confused because it was not the time that I saw him at the tiny house, but a time, you know, one time after that. So made me wonder how he got in there. And I really questioned whether he was maybe a cousin to the one at the tiny house, or whether he was the same one. And I think I've determined that he is the same one. And we have developed quite a relationship. When I got home that day, I got this container, a clear container, and I put a little thing of water in it and some sticks, and I put some mesh, like a wire mesh, over the top of it. And it was funny because the rest of that day, I pretty much, in the midst of everything else that I was doing, I was catching fruit flies, and I was catching flies, and trying to figure out what, you know, he eats. And so I was feeding him, and I have every intention on returning him back to the tiny house today. After I get off the radio, I'm going to head up to the tiny house and take my praying mantis with me and release him back around the tiny house where there's other praying mantises. And but we've had a lot of fun. Like the other day, he disappeared out of his cage, out of his I still don't know really how he got out, but, you know, the screen, I didn't like tie it down. I just had it set there. So, I had set it, between two of my plants, and a big spider plant that has all kinds of babies, and another plant. So he has been crawling around on my plant, and you know, every morning I go out and I'm like, okay, where are you? And he's really hard to find in my plants, but it took me a little bit this morning. I thought, oh my gosh, the day that I'm going to return him back home, he has run away. And those are the only two plants in the house, so I wouldn't think that he would go, you know, anywhere else. But he did go into my car, so, and there were no plants in my car. But it's just interesting what I have found to be the sign, I guess, for myself during this time of really loving up this praying mantis is for the last several months, I have been burning the candle at both ends, working totally too much, having people come into my life, which this is a general theme that I had to like awaken to and be reminded of, that I am a workaholic, or that I work too much, and it has been the source of many issues in my relationships in my past. And so I had to look at that and letting go of different things, even though I love doing it, but just really letting go of things that I am just constantly working and working. And so the busy season is, like, coming to a close at the spa. I manage a spa and hire massage therapists to come down and pamper our guests and stuff, as well as do readings here in the area. And but I have learned from the praying mantis to remain still and to take my time. And one of the things that the first meaning when I started doing research on what the praying mantis meant was that I was too busy, that I needed to slow down, that maybe work was getting too much for me, maybe my life was unbalanced in some manner. And I'm like, yeah, you think? So it was just another wake-up call, and I guess I needed a couple, because I'm a little hard-headed sometimes, even though I do intuitive readings as my passion and as my business, and helping others and life coaching others all the time, that it's easy to tell other people what they need to do, and when the signs come in front of me, I'm more apt to go, you know what, I'm busy doing this right now. And especially when it's something that I'm doing as a passion. And even when we do things that we're very passionate about, we have to take the time to step away and re-energize. And so, that's what I am getting ready to do, is step away a little bit more. So, Monty, the praying mantis, has certainly taught me a lot about myself in the last week. So thanks, Monty. But so we will be talking about habits today, good habits, bad habits, how to change habits, how to work with your habits. And before we do that, though, let's go into the chat room. I said that I would focus a lot on the chat room and doing readings today, because I hadn't been doing that in the last month because of the series Mysteries of the Lost Lands that I did. So I gave a lot of information there, and you could go on YouTube or Groovy Green Goddess fan page and watch those, or go to 12 Radio in the archives and listen to those shows. They were a lot of fun to do. I did it on what did I do it on? On Lemuria, Atlantis, and Avalon. So, okay, let's go into the chat room. Hi, everyone. All right. So, hi, Cheryl, Jan, Lillian, Elizabeth, Kuweli, Karen. So, Lillian, hi, Lacey and everyone. I would love a reading if you have time. Just came through Hurricane Irma. And feeling very, very lucky. Yes, I'm glad you're okay, and I'm glad that you're, I'm thinking back home. And, it really is, a lot is happening right now in our world. In the western states, we have all these fires, and in the eastern states, all the storms. And, there's things going on all over the world that we don't even hear about, because we're so focused on what's going on in our neighborhood. And it's really important that when we are hearing about our loved ones, about people we know and people that we don't know, that we send out prayers. Prayer is such a strong thing that we can do for our neighbors. And, it is very good that, that we continue to support one another. So I'm going to shuffle my cards, Lilianne, and we will see what the cards have to say. What is it in Lilianne's life, or everyone else who is listening, whoever is listening today, what is in the cards today? All right. So, oh boy, I almost dropped it. Okay, so I'm picking 3 cards. Usually I just pick 1, but I'm picking 3 cards, and we will look at what these cards have to say. So the first card is receptivity. Allow yourself to receive. This will increase your intuition, your energy, and your ability to give to others. So, you know, during this time, and I feel like you are going through a transition. You are shifting and changing the way that you are thinking about things, the way that you believe in things, are really kind of trying your knowledge, your understanding, and that could bring a little bit of frustration. Sometimes when we are in the midst of going through a shift and a change of our consciousness, that we will start receiving information that we will take in a couple different ways. We will either take it in, not fully understand it, but take it in and go, okay, I know that this resonates. Or we will be, and this has been happening to me lately, and it might be because I have such a full schedule too, is that new information comes to me, and I am so overloaded in my head with all this information that's whirling and twirling around, that it's like, oh my gosh, can I take another little piece of information? So my receptivity may be off a little bit, or I'm full up to the brim, and I get that some of that is happening to you, that your receptivity ability is a little bit, you're being tried with some things that are happening in your life, some beliefs that are being awakened to you, that you are questioning, and that's okay to question it. It's okay to take your time in understanding maybe another person's point of view, but being open to that is really important. And I do get that receptivity ability is going to get clearer and clearer, and easier and easier for all of you who are struggling to bring in additional information, whatever the reason. Okay, maybe it's something that you're not quite sure about or don't necessarily resonate with, but it's certainly an opportunity for you to be open to what maybe another person is saying. Okay, so that's the first card. The second card is raising your standard. And because you are going through a transition, and I definitely see a transition, and sometimes our life has to be kind of upheavaled in order to appreciate the transition, or to be aware that we are having a transition, that raising our standards is really important, that maybe there are people in your life that are not up to what you would like to have in your life. Maybe your standards are higher now in some different things, and that's not a bad thing to want to raise your standard and to want to move away from people that maybe do not have the same standard, or that have a tendency to just stay here in this plane of existence, which is not bad. It's not working for you anymore because you're, over here floating in another plane of existence, wherever it is, okay? And So it's important that you allow yourself and don't beat yourself up over, well, this person doesn't resonate with me, and this situation isn't resonating with me anymore. So that right there is sometimes a challenging thing, and it's, put the card right next to it, the receptivity card, and you can definitely help being receptive to you moving into another plane of existence, raising your standards, okay? So the next card that goes with this threesome here is the cycles and rhythm card. So when we are feeling like things are shifting and changing, we're going through a transformation, things are in upheaval, things are shifting and changing at a greater pace than what we have anticipated, and maybe we're not seeing the positive of it yet. This is a time that we take into consideration that cycle and that rhythm of our life. It's just like the moon phases, just like the seasons, just like the month, just like, the week. We have these different phases. Some of them are man-made phases, like the week and the time kind of thing. Some is Earth, like the moon, or, the universal, like the moon, or the seasons. Everything will shift and change. Sometimes we have to wait a little bit longer. Sometimes things are being worked on behind the scenes by God, our angels, our guides, whoever is our higher power. Maybe we are our higher selves are working on different things for our better good, our higher good, and we're not sure what that looks like yet. Well, we don't have to, as long as we are living our daily life in as good of shape as we can, being kind to others, being kind especially to ourselves, and just going through our day. So, these three cards, receptivity, raising our standards, and cycles and rhythms, very much go together. And it's, this trine, and it's interesting because maybe I'm just, praying mantis obsessed in the last week, but with these three cards, it's like this, like his head is like triangle shaped, and that there are always different sides to things. There's always a different angle to look at things. So be willing to be open to just sometimes riding out the storm. So yeah, I hope that helps. I hope that helps anyone out there wondering what their next step is, who are maybe feeling confused, or feeling like they are transforming and not quite sure what they're transforming in. Okay, so let's do another reading, since I've just been kind of not doing readings last month. Okay, so Cheryl would like any career messages coming to you from the angels. And, oh, you're so welcome, Cheryl. All right, so I'm putting these cards back into my big pile of oracle cards here. And I am also going to choose 3 cards, and this is in relationship to anyone who is having questions about career shifting, career newness, and anything about job wise. Maybe you're having an issue. Oh, like this. Karen is having Karen's husband's having trouble with a coworker, and she wants to know if I see this getting resolved, or will my husband be changing jobs? So any insight appreciated. So with me focusing on that career, the job aspect, that job energy. Here we go. So this will have something to do with anyone that is in question about job, career shifts and changes there. So the first card here is spiritual growth. Okay. So sometimes we are not sometimes, I was just corrected. It's like sometimes, it's all the time. We're always on a spiritual journey. So, we are always learning things. So sometimes we are in situations that are not what we think is the highest good for ourselves at that time. And we want things to shift and change, and we get impatient and we want to push through and make things happen and wonder, what next? Well, when spiritual growth comes up around, let's say, the job aspect of what we're talking about today, it's about the experiences that we are having, the experiences like Karen, your husband, is having right now with a coworker, is something that, let's say, he left, or Cheryl, let's say that you said you got frustrated with the job that you have too, and you guys wanted to you decided to move on and shift and change. Well, chances are, because you're making it and you're pushing it to happen, and you're doing it with frustration, with wanting to make changes, and in instance of Karen, your husband, being frustrated about this coworker that is just really hard to work with, that chances are he's going to move on into another job if this whole situation isn't met with some sort of establishing peace around it, that he will probably have to deal with this same situation. And it will be in different packaging, but it will essentially be the same thing, different day kind of thing. Same thing, different situation. So for your husband to move on and to find another job just because of this coworker being a pain in the rear, then, chances are he's going to find another pain in the rear in another position, another job. Okay. So, let's see what the second card has to say here. Okay, so letting go. This is very in congruence with the spiritual growth, and to maybe accept and find the peace at where we are right here, right now. And if we are struggling with something that like a co-worker or something, or we're just plain not happy in our job, maybe it's time to just let go of our feelings around that. Now, there have been times in my life where I haven't necessarily wanted to show up someplace for a job, or I really wanted a shift and a change. And as I was driving to this job, instead of going, oh my gosh, and I have been doing that lately, going, oh my gosh, I'm so burnt out. I need a change, and I'm whining. Instead of us whining and wondering and wanting change and complaining about it and dreading going to our place of business, we let it go and go, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be right here, right now, or I wouldn't be here right now. So accepting that this is exactly where we're supposed to be. Many times when we accept where we are supposed to be, then things start to change. And that's a kind of a funny thing that I have noticed, that I see so many of us, and myself included, that we will say state, oh, I've let it go. I'm okay being in this job right now. And then we're constantly kind of in the back of our head. We're like, oh God, what is out there? What is, instead of just enjoying where we are, enjoying the moment, wondering and just looking and reflecting at what can I learn in this situation right here, right now? What can I do to have this situation shift and change in the manner that I would like it to? For example, being at work, and even though this coworker is a pain, leaning in and being nice to this coworker. And I do get that your husband is very nice, but it's just like, come on already, ding dang coworker, get a grip. And it is about just taking that deep breath as you're driving to work, going, you know what? This is what I'm supposed to do right here, right now. And please, universe, God, just give me a sign. Just continue to steer me in the right direction. Okay. As I am talking about this, and before we get to the third card, Cheryl, I am getting a message that the time is coming really near for you to either leave the job that you're in, even though you're happy. The people that you work for are really nice and accommodating, and it just doesn't feel like there's a bigger purpose here. Part of that is your spiritual growth. Part of that is still finding your footing, your reawakening to still yet some things that have not yet been in your consciousness. And when that happens, no matter where we are, we're going to have this discontent or this searching feeling, okay? If the job is really getting to you, I do see where it would be very easy for you to get another job, maybe in a bookstore or an espresso stand or something that gives a lot more like activity and socialization. I get that socialization is really what is lacking in what you are, I don't know, I get that there's that aspect. You get it in your present job, but I do get that there is something about you receiving more of that. So whether you are holding on because of insurance or the money or something, sometimes we do have to just take a jump and do something crazy, and we're always going to land on our feet. Okay. And again, Karen, if your husband has been dealing with this co-worker for some time, and I have to question him, even if it's not the co-worker. Sometimes I think it's other things that he is questioning to get another job. So maybe the co-worker is a catalyst for him to jump and get another job, because I am seeing where this has happened before, not with the co-worker, but him wondering if he should get another job or move on. I think that he is also feeling burnt out, or maybe not feeling appreciated in the place that he is. So it's sometimes about just jumping off what we see as a cliff, and wondering if there is a bottomless pit or that we're jumping into off this cliff. I also get that there is like some additional spiritual understanding that has been shown to you that is just right on the verge of that deeper understanding. So be patient. So the next card here is guiding children. And so we have the spiritual growth card, the letting go, and the guiding children. So the guiding children, I get that in Karen, your husband's case, that this is about him honoring his inner child. It feels like he doesn't honor his inner child and hasn't for a very long time. And maybe he needs to kick up his heels and know that he does need to be lighter and maybe have that lighter attitude even in his present job. Okay. For you, Cheryl, anyone else who is having job issues or questions, Cheryl, I see where you would be very good at working with children, and that it wouldn't necessarily make you miss your grandbabies even more, but it would give some sort of satisfaction to what you're seeking, is that you're helping little ones become the best that they can be. So I do see where guiding children would be your direction, that you have been working very much so on your inner child ever since you have moved. So I get that it's about maybe connecting with your grandbabies as well over Skype more than you are, and doing things like that. So I will come back and do a couple more readings. Boy, I can't believe how fast time goes. And before I forget, I have this show that I'm doing right now sponsored, and it is sponsored by Juice Plus. And Juice Plus, I feel like such a commercial person here, and I am right now. So bear with me. I'll be back after after this. This is a break. So Juice Plus, I have been taking Juice Plus for almost a year now, and I feel such a change. I do a lot of fruit and vegetables in the way that I eat every day, but because of the society or how busy we get, and many of us don't get our fruits and vegetables in, we really do just need fruits and vegetables in order to get all of our vitamins. So Juice Plus, if you want to find out more information about Juice Plus, contact me and I will send you a link, and I will be happy to talk to you more about getting set up to have Juice Plus in your life. And yeah, all right, so now we're back. Welcome back. Okay, so I am going to talk just a tad bit about habits, because I've been wanting to and working on changing some of my bad habits. And the other day when I was doing research on habits and how can we break down our habits and become more aware of our habits, I ran across this. It's called the 3 R's of changing a habit. And the more I dug into it, the more that it is something that counselors, psychologists in that field, they utilize this technique a lot. And the 3 R's are reminder. So the first is the reminder, and the reminder is that trigger that initiates the habit in the first place. Now remember, we can have a positive habit. Let's say the positive habit is, every day before we eat dinner, we give thanks. And that is I have an itch. My nose is tickled. That we have a positive habit that we have created in our life, and that is being grateful or doing a prayer before we eat. Okay. Maybe we, and that's a good habit to have. Maybe we have a bad habit, such as picking the wrong kinds of foods after we have eaten dinner, fatty desserts or something when we want to lose weight. That doesn't help us lose weight, or that doesn't help us become healthier. And our habits are a direct correlation to how we are, and how we are health-wise, how we act in our lives. And so if we want to change something in our life, we have to be willing to change that habit. So the second R is routine. And the routine is the behavior itself, the action itself, all right? The third R is the reward. Are we getting a reward in the routine or the reminder? Like, let's say the reminder is, let's say that the phone rings, okay? That's a reminder to answer your phone. All right. And then the routine is, I've got to see who the phone call is. Although, we know who it is before we answer, unless, we see the number, we don't recognize it. But that is the routine, that we answer the phone. And we are hoping to get something positive out of that, which would be the reward. Sometimes, we answer the phone, we're like, oh, it's you. And it's not a reward. But, that is like the 3 R's, the reminder, the phone is ringing, the routine, answering the phone, the reward. Oh, it's you. Hi. I haven't talked to you for a long time. I'm happy to hear from you. So we have those 3 R's. And what's important is identifying whether we are getting a reward from the habit, from the routine that we have established. So we're not going to necessarily get a reward if we are wanting to lose a few pounds and we eat the dessert late at night. Now, if we're not wanting to, or we don't have an interest in losing weight, or it's not something that we're focused on, and we have that dessert late at night, then it's not a problem. It is still a reward. And, there's nothing wrong with it. As long as we feel rewarded. It's when we don't feel that reward anymore that it's a habit that we could change. All right? So the way that we can, change this routine, this habit, the routine in our life that is no longer serving us, is to make a list of what you do every day. Let's see, for example, your daily habits. You wash your face, or you wash your face before you go to bed. You put on, the moisturizer, or, brush your teeth, or, it's really important that you sit down at the table when you eat your dinner. These are daily habits that you don't have to do, but these are just habits that you have, you do for yourself because it's your routine. So, there's that list. Then there's the other list where you have the other list is like, okay, without fail, the sun sets every morning. Every night. Boy, wouldn't that be something? Or the sun rises every morning. The sun sets every evening. You stop at red when you're driving to a stoplight. To stop at red. You automatically do it. It's a habit. You check your text messages. It's a habit. You just do it. Okay? So, with all those identifying things on your list that are daily habits for you, pick one. And let's say that you want to, change a habit. Let's say, Okay, let's say that since we used this as an example earlier, that we want to change the way that we are creating the habit of eating sugary food after dinner. Okay, so we can choose after we get done with dinner, whatever habit that we do. Maybe we sit down and we watch a favorite show. Okay, and when that favorite show comes on, that is usually when we grab the the dessert. Okay, so by changing, let's say this also takes a little bit of preparation, maybe grabbing grapes instead, or putting your show on DVR and watching it like earlier in the day or later, and I know that most of us work, but watching it at a different time so it doesn't spur you into that habitual routine to eat that sugary food. So also thinking about the reward that you will receive by not choosing to eat that food. Okay, or by, in some cases, even though I used the phone thing earlier, many of us, we're like, our phone controls us. We like want to know who's on that other line, who's on the other line, or what they have to say, or oh my gosh, I might miss something, instead of just, putting our phone on silent and giving ourselves a reward, like maybe, walking or watching the sunset. We can choose to walk or walk into place when we're watching our favorite show. Creating that new routine of, walking in place, choosing different foods. So, there are so many things that we can do to help ourselves change our habits that we no longer want to have in our lives. Okay, getting a buddy also helps as well, and writing down our habits, expressing ourselves on paper with our habits. I could talk actually more about habits, but I did, say that I would be in the chat room doing some readings. Before I do that, I'll do a couple more readings before the end of the show, but I ran across something that, oh my gosh, really resonated with me earlier in the week. And this is about habits. My habit of drinking water. Cheers to you. Many blessings. All right, so this is really, really good information here. It takes 3 weeks to form a habit. So, and habits suck, actually. Bad habits, they are hard to shift and change. All right, I'm not gonna like sugarcoat it. They are challenging, and we have to be consistent, and we have to force ourselves sometimes to do something when our mind is going, wait a minute, I've been doing it this way for so long. We have to consciously go, nope, I'm going to do it this way, I'm going to do it this way. But it takes 3 weeks with that kind of like diligence to change our habit, all right, to form a new habit. 4 weeks it takes for you to notice the difference, for you to acknowledge and see a change, because you have stuck with making a new habit for yourself. Isn't that good? I thought that was just great, that it takes 4 weeks for ourselves to notice and see the changes, all right? It takes 8 weeks for friends and family to see the changes. So be patient. And remember that when we are changing habits, do not do this for anyone else. Do it for yourself. That's when it's most effective. That's when it's the easiest, is when you're doing it for yourself, not because someone is telling you you should, okay? So it takes 12 weeks for the rest of the world to see what a healthy you that you are becoming. All right. So, it is really important for you to acknowledge the work that you are doing in changing your habits. All right. So, okay, let's go back to the chat room here. So, okay, so Thalia, much appreciate any message on big move that in preparation for next year. Big changes inside and out. Yeah, that's for sure. You are going through big changes inside and out. And I commend you. And actually, I am being shown that you need to, well, you don't need to do anything, but it would really be good for you to pat yourself on the back because you are doing such deep work right now. And I am getting the feeling that you're not giving yourself credit where credit is due, okay? And I do see where the big changes that will come out of moving, there's more to be revealed there. I'm getting May for some reason. May is a big month for you. And in the meantime, just continue to do what you're doing as far as working on yourself. And I almost see they're showing me like a slowdown or a stop, and it will feel as if everything is stopped and nothing is moving forward in what you want to accomplish and in your move, and there will be some frustration there, okay? That's going to happen before May. And with that being said, it's really important that you be gentle on yourself, continue to take the little baby steps that you already are, and May, if you're in the chat room, tell me what May means to you, because I keep hearing May, May, May. And it really is about you being all ready, and things will like be rolling and going smooth, like smoother than you can imagine by May. So I get that May will be almost like that, the end of all the work, although we are always working on things and things will show up, but for you to really get, you will be like at your goal with the move, the physical move, okay? I can't believe we only have like 2.5 minutes left, and I just want to let you know that I am over at 12listen.com. Most days you can find me there. I do have time-based sessions that are at a cheaper rate. If you would like to talk to me, you could go over there and buy one and then call me up when the prices are regular over there. We do have lots of sales. If you are interested in our sales, go over to 12listen, the website, and sign up for the newsletter, and you will be privy to the sales before the general public are. So next up are some of my favorite people. They are the Psychic Sisters. Oh, and speaking of the Psychic Sisters, so even though they are based in Idaho, I am based in Washington State. I will be at the Psychic Sister Vintage Clothing Store doing psychic readings tomorrow, Friday. And then on Saturday and Sunday, I will be up in Port Townsend, Washington, doing readings. And then I will be up in Seattle pretty soon. So if you want to get my newsletter, go over to the 12listen listen, my profile and sign up for my newsletter, and I will let you know where I am locally and where I am when I travel. I will be in New Mexico pretty soon, so if you live in that Santa Fe, Albuquerque area, I will be able to see you in person. So, have a great week, and I will see you next week. In the meantime, do a little thing to change a habit that you no longer want in your life, and be easy on yourself, okay? Deal with the real problem. That's the secret. All right. Blessings to you. Have a fabulous day, and I will see you next week.